So hello everybody, this is Bhante Joe here, and just here and thought to record a short Owada for the internet. So I thought that could start with a little bit of meditation. So can just lean forward a bit and arch the spine, and can look about 3 feet in front and close our eyes. And can focus in on the breath. Can know when it's coming in and know when it's going out. If we breathe in a long breath, can just know I'm breathing in a long breath. And if we breathe in a short breath, can just know I'm breathing in a short breath. And can focus in on the breath at the tip of the nose. And if notice any patterns of tension or tightness around the nose, eyes, around the mouth, can let those relax. And can relax any patterns of tension around the cheeks, around the chin. And can practice breathing in and out from this area at the tip of the nose. And when breathing in and out from the tip of the nose, can try to make mindfulness as continuous as possible, being aware of the breath as it comes in through the nose, all the way through the in-breath, as the in-breath turns to the out-breath, all the way through the out-breath, and as the out-breath turns back to the in-breath again. Trying to make mindfulness as continuous as possible. And before we finish meditating, can spread thoughts of goodwill, wishing may all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can make our minds infinite, can make them unbounded, all the way to the ends of the universe and beyond, in every dimension. May all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. and can open our eyes and do a short Dhamma discussion. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Saṅghāṃ saranang gacchāmi. Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Saṅghāṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Saṅghāṃ saranang gacchāmi. So, hello everybody, and hope that you're having a good day, wherever might be in the world. And so I thought to record a short Owada for the internet today. And on Tuesday there was a fellow who came and asked a question, so I thought to maybe do a short Dhamma discussion on that, and kind of paraphrasing his question. But it was something like, how to stop, he said he'd been meditating, and how to stop kind of like thoughts from racing. These kind of like racing thoughts. How do you stop the kind of chatter in the background? And part of it depends, depends on what kind of thought it is. There's a lot of different strategies that a person can employ. So for certain types of thoughts, one can kind of like forcefully bring one's mind away from them. Kind of like one of the metaphors in the canon they give for stopping certain types of thinking is like a strong man might crush a weaker man. So it's kind of very forceful. You kind of stamp that thought out of its existence or kind of crush it. It's kind of, I guess in psychology they call it kind of maybe like repression, although that wouldn't, I'm not sure they would graph exactly, but basically you forcefully stop the thought, forcefully halt it, or forcefully crush it out of existence. There's a number of different ways that one can approach, can maybe engage in this forceful approach to stop a thought right away. And that can be for thoughts that are, maybe extremely bad, something like that, kind of thoughts that you want to stop, like immediately. You don't want them to go on at all, kind of, some extreme thoughts. Those ones you can stomp out. And then there's other times when it's appropriate. It's fine. It's appropriate just to let the kind of chatter go on in the background, but have one's meditation object in the foreground, maybe. So one can basically just focus in on the meditation object, and maybe just let that chatter be in the back, whatever kind of chain thinking is happening. And just through this kind of maybe focusing on the meditation object, that chatter might die down, might eventually kind of cool down, just settle down. And basically what we want to try to do is find a way to make our body and mind kind of relax, and kind of at ease, so that we can stay with the breath in a really comfortable way. So there's one monk who I respected a lot, and he was talking about practicing kind of meditation. He said, if you want, basically he was talking about having the mind stay with the breath, and he said, okay, one of the things you want to do is to be able to perceive the beautiful, and perceive all the beautiful elements in the breath, all the comfortable elements in the breath, or I guess, whatever meditation topic one wants, to the point where it's like, okay, this is totally perfect, nothing needs to be added to this, doesn't matter if this changes ever. And then he said, of course, when you get to that point, then it changes. But if one really perceives one's meditation object as something pleasant, something nice, something beautiful, then one's mind will tend to settle in on it and kind of stay with it more. And that chatter, which can be, if it's a result of restlessness, can tend to die down on its own. There's other ways, there's other strategies the Buddha offers as well. Like there's certain types of thinking that are kind of come at a person like very persuasively. It's kind of like, you need to do this, think about me because of this and this and this and this reason. And there's certain approaches to that. Sometimes, it can be best to argue with that type of thinking. Wait a minute, I don't need to do that for X, Y, and Z reason. It's usually some argument for why, need to eat the extra cupcake, or need to yell at that guy or girl who did something bad to you, or why it's really important to think about this list of items right now. And so in that case, one wants to have a counter-argument to those kind of things. You know, wait a minute, I eat this extra cupcake, that's not going to help me. It's going to lead to wanting me to eat more cupcakes, and it won't be for my long-term benefit. You know, so I'm not going to listen. I should go yell at this person or this woman. Okay, wait a minute. That's just going to arouse more hatred in my mind. It won't ease the situation. Even if it's a temporary solution, then it's going to become a reflex of mine. I'll go yell at people, and the time will come when I get yelled back at for that. You know, it's not going to be a long-term effective solution. Better to try to find a solution from a place of calm, whatever the difficulty is. Or the third one, which I can't remember what it actually was right now. It said yelling. It said eating the cupcake, or thinking about this thing right now, kind of whatever it is in one's meditation topic. Okay, it's really important for me to think about this thing I've got to do tomorrow or do now. Well, wait a minute, that's tomorrow. Or if it was something in the past, that's in the past. Both those things aren't relevant to what I'm doing right now. My only job right now is to look after my meditation topic, to look after my mind. So one can reason with these kind of very persuasive type thoughts that come in. And basically the main thing when one is trying to practice like meditation is to have a kind of discipline where one is always thinking about what's appropriate. So more or less one stays within the bounds, stays within the range of the satipatthana. It's kind of called a satipatthana, means kind of like frame of reference, and stays with one's frame of reference. So if it's the breath, one stays with the breath. And, you know, all the thoughts that are not related to staying on the breath, making the breath more comfortable, or if one is doing a type of contemplation, like contemplation of impermanence or etc., then, you know, stays with that. It kind of doesn't go wandering off into thinking about ice cream, thinking about what happened yesterday, tomorrow, or worries about the future, regrets about the past, whatever it is. It's focused on what needs to be focused on. So a lot of it can also be like a skill. A part of it can also maybe be a skill that one develops over time. It's basically the skill to remain focused on an object. And kind of, it's like training a dog. Maybe, you know, like you see these dogs when they go out walking, their little puppies are like running left, right, you know, up, down, whatever. And any smell they smell, they're after that smell. But over time, with training, kind of learn to keep pulling that puppy back. That puppy eventually learns when it's appropriate to go and smell something and when not. In the same way, one can learn to train one's mind maybe and kind of bring it back to the object of meditation over and over again using these various techniques, various counters to hatred, counters to persuasive arguments, counters to greed, to bring it back to the frame of reference. Because one's working on a meditation object for a reason. It's to train one's mind, and kind of train one's mind to find happiness here and now, and to find a happiness, permanent happiness in the end. And so for that as well, there's many different meditation objects that the Buddha gives. So in terms of if certain racing thoughts come up, certain meditation objects can be counters to those thoughts. Like you can have metta as a counter to hatred, or you can have, you know, breathing. Mindfulness of breathing is actually said to be the one that's best to counter these kind of chain thinkings. There's many. There's 40 in the commentary that the commentaries list, but many. But in any event, it can also be the case that to stop a certain type of chain thinking, one uses the appropriate meditation counter to stop it, and then returns to one's regular meditation objects. So Ajahn Chah gives this simile of kind of like a spider in the center of the web, and the spider stays in the center of the web until a bug hits a corner of it or anything like that, and then it goes up and binds the bug up and then goes back to the center. So in the same way, one can stay with one's usual meditation object. Certain type of racing thought happens associated with a particular defilement. One can apply the remedy and come back to one's meditation object. Whether that remedy is changing, say hatred, changing to spreading metta for a bit, coming back. Whether it's some persuasive thinking, going to argue with it for a bit, coming back. Worries about thoughts in the past and the future. Okay, that just requires just a normal coming back. Probably doesn't require going out to bind them up unless there's a little bit of argument. Oh, I don't need to think about this right now. But in any event, one wants to keep coming back to the center until it can get to a place where one can just stay still, stay at ease in that center. And this is Rajan Cha gives a simile of like a still forest pool. And kind of when you wait by the pool, then you keep waiting, waiting, waiting. If you're very still, very quiet, all these unusual animals come to eat there. And so in the same way, it's when we are able to train our mind to make it still, we can see the various ripples and currents that are going on in it. And we have an opportunity to apply wisdom to counter them. It's kind of something we can see for ourselves, how to train our mind. So all these kind of strategies for countering racing thoughts are for this purpose, to, at least for this intermediate purpose, to have our mind stay with whatever topic we're thinking of, and that topic we're pursuing to counter our defilements. And so we want to be able to stay with our breath, develop feelings of calm. If we're contemplating impermanence, contemplating death, whatever, we want to stay with that meditation object to develop the benefits of that contemplation. And this is kind of like these puppies. You just keep bringing it back, bringing it back, bringing it back. And the more we train it, the more it starts to kind of obey over time. It's a kind of process, a training process, until the time comes when you can rely on that dog, to a certain extent. You can even let it off the leash certain appropriate times without having to worry too much. It's been well trained. So in the same way, a well-trained mind is something, or similar way, a well-trained mind is something you can come to trust more and more. It doesn't have to be something that's just always flowing out with racing thoughts. It can be something that you can direct, can train, and that will obey, that will come back to a place of ease, so that it can see and become still, like this kind of forest pool. Stay very still, and you can see all these various animals that come to eat there. Get a better sense of what it is that's feeding off the mind, and how to train the mind further, to find further levels of happiness. Okay, so that's some thoughts for today based on that gentleman's question, and hope that everybody has a great day, wherever it might be, and wishing you all the best.